Foldable phones have been on the market for a few years now, but for a few reasons I think the Razr 40 or the Razr 2023 in the States could be regarded as one of the most important foldable phones launched to date. I'm Cam Bunton, and in this review I'm going to tell you why. It starts with design, and there's something very appealing about the way Motorola designed the entry-level Razr 40. It's part down to 3 attractive colours chosen and part down to the vegan leather material covering the front and the back. The end result is a phone that's charming to look at and feels really good in the hand. Each of these 3 colours, the sage green, vanilla cream and summer lilac, look stunning in this finish and are completely different to any other foldable clamshell on the market. And the material makes good practical sense too, because the grip it offers ensures the phone doesn't slip out of your hand or slip off any surfaces like smooth glass phones do. With most other foldables, there's this very real sense when you're holding it that you've got this precious device made from glass that needs a case, or at least some form of protection, but with the standard Razr, that vegan leather finish is almost like having a case built in already. The only glass on the outside covers the small cover screen that I'll get to in a bit. It's Gorilla Glass Victus, so shouldn't break too easily, but it does seem to scratch and get marked up badly if you don't look after it, so look out for that. The frame is made from matte anodized aluminium, finished with a soft curve similar to the Ultra model, to add to that comfortable in-hand feel. The other practical decision is giving it splash resistance. It doesn't have the highest level of water resistance out there, but it should survive fine spray and light rain. And just like the Razr 40 Ultra, it features an improved hinge. It's designed to hold the display open at different angles, and it works well for the most part, but doesn't feel as sturdy or as strong as Samsung's latest model. It will hold, but has an ever so slightly loose feeling to it. Like previous versions, the hinge is also designed to shut completely flat when you close the phone. There's no gap for dust and pocket fluff to get into when it's in your pocket or your purse. Saying that, dust can still get into the gaps on the outside of the hinge. Otherwise, the basic template is the same as Samsung's older flip models, in that it has a small exterior display on it for displaying time and notifications, and it also has a physical fingerprint sensor on the side, built into the Wake Sleep button. Now, flagship foldable clamshells for 2023 have one main feature to differentiate them from the emerging cheaper segment: a big cover screen. One way Motorola could introduce this cheaper model was avoiding that, instead sticking a small cover screen on the outside instead. This exterior screen only measures 1.5 inches and is designed chiefly for quick access to basic information, notifications and quick settings toggles. It's not really designed to be used for gaming, apps or replying to any messages. So you can see the time whenever you want or use it to check weather conditions, read any notifications you have waiting for your attention. You also get easy access to quick functions like recording voice notes and starting timers if you want, and you don't need to unlock your phone to make use of those functions. Of course, it's clearly going to be less useful than a bigger screen phone. If you get a message you want to reply to, you will have to open your phone to do that. And while you can use it as a selfie monitor to take photos of yourself with the better cover cameras, the field view is so small and the screen so dim that actually framing yourself can be a challenge. You can customize it to suit your needs though, so you can change the clock style and color, and you can rearrange the other functions and widget panels that you can scroll through. As for the larger internal screen, that measures a generous 6.9 inches. It's a bright, vivid AMOLED panel with rich colors and deep contrast, offering enough dynamic range to be certified for HDR10+ content. It's a genuinely really great display. There are a few things that stood out to me while testing it that should mean a great experience for most people interacting with this phone. The first and the most obvious is the size. Stick it next to a Galaxy Z Flip of any generation and the extra scale and width is immediately apparent. It helps the display feel a bit less narrow and more expansive, so content fills up more space when you're watching videos in full screen. It's also really bright with very saturated colors and can hit peaks of up to 1400 nits for those little bright spots in HDR video. There's an argument here that it's a little too saturated, bordering on that hyper-real effect that sometimes comes from excited AMOLED screens. You can switch on a natural mode if you want to tone down those colors considerably. But that's not all though. The display can reach peaks of up to 144 Hz. That upper refresh rate is limited to gaming, but that's not really an issue. The LTPO panel in the Motorola can drop as low as 1 Hz when it needs to, so that ensures the display only animates with fast refreshes when it needs to and reduces to really low levels on a static page, and that means better battery efficiency than some other adaptive refresh rate displays. Then there's the crease. It's there but far less visible than what we've seen from Samsung so far. Now, there are inherent weaknesses with any foldable phone display, and one of those of course is the structural integrity, particularly around the parts of the display that folds. We have seen issues in the past where after about 12 months of use the screen protector layers start to peel off, but of course I've not had the Razr long enough to know whether that will be an issue with this model. The other is that the plastic on the screen means it's far more prone to fingerprint smudges, and those catch in light reflections and mean you don't always get that same crisp optical clarity that you get on a proper glass display. Now joining the display are two speakers, creating stereo sound on either side of the panel, but I will say this, the quality isn't amazing. Sound doesn't have much in the way of bass, and the audio can come across a little harsh and treble heavy, and a bit tinny. Best stick to headphones with this one. Now, in an effort to keep costs down, Motorola opted not to include a flagship level processor in the Razr 40. Instead of having a Snapdragon 8 series chipset, the cheaper model features the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. And what that means from a performance perspective is that it's not lightning fast like the 8 Gen 2, but it keeps up with everyday tasks really easily. It's not slow or sluggish, and with the high refresh rate displays, interactions feel smooth. And it can run pretty much any game, loads it quickly, and gives you that sense of leaving you to do what you want without hampering you significantly. The processor is joined by 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage, plus a 4200 mAh battery, which is comfortably a higher capacity than either the Razr 40 Ultra or the Z Flip 5. It's the type of battery that means you'll get similar battery life to what you'd expect from a traditional candy bar shaped smartphone, especially when you consider a lot of those small interactions like checking notifications, weather and the time, don't require actually opening the phone and using the large display. Actually judging performance isn't the simplest, but what I can say is that there were no days during my testing where I was worried that it would run out of battery. Even on the busiest days, I could use it for my usual 2 or 3 hours of gaming and browsing and still get to bed with juice left. I don't remember one day even getting as low as the dreaded 19% mark when the battery indicator starts to get panicked. And charging it up again is quick enough too, with up to 30 watt speeds possible. And the battery being smaller than a traditional battery, you can refill that first 50% in about 30 minutes. Now, like its more expensive sibling, the Razr 40 is equipped with a pretty standard array of cameras. And there are two on the front cover, and they're built into that glass rectangular island, and another is punched through the display on the inside. The exact makeup is exactly as we'd expect. The primary 64 megapixel camera on the front is joined by a 13 megapixel ultrawide, which also doubles as a macro. That means you can get close-up images of small objects as well as wide landscapes from it. It's clear from using them for an extended period, however, that as camera duos go, it's more similar to what I'd expect to find on a mid-range smartphone. In fact, of all the areas of the Razr 40, this is the one I think needs the most improvement. Now, if you're in good daylight, you will get a decent enough image from the main camera, but there's definitely a sense that there's a lot of processing going on, and not always to the benefit of the final processed image. They don't have that sharp and deep look that Galaxy Flip models do, and they miss some of that depth of field. The ultra-wide shots often come out darker and more crushed in those shadowy areas, and more noise in the skies, the clouds and the shadows. It's one of those cameras, as with so many ultra-wides, that's only worth using when you need that wider shot, and you've got a lot of natural light in the scene. So getting back to my original point, it's an important device primarily because it's a phone that costs the same as a normal smartphone. It's about $200 or $300 less than a Galaxy Z Flip 5, but it's also important because it's fun, it looks great, it feels great, and isn't just a boring black rectangle made from glass. Now, I'm not saying that I imagine Motorola will start selling this in the millions per month, but what I am saying is that having this compact, attractive, fashionable phone on the market with futuristic tech inside, and at a price that a lot of people can afford, is a big deal. Especially when you can get this level experience, which, minus the cameras perhaps, is free of any major compromises. That's important, and it shifts the needle, setting down a challenge to other manufacturers which they will have to respond to, and that's when things get really fascinating. And maybe that's where a rumoured fan edition of the Galaxy Z Flip comes in too, and gets things a bit spicy. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you like it, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap that notification bell, and then you won't miss any more of our videos. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.